Welcome back to Her Travel Expert. We are so excited to talk about moving kids to college today because in just a few weeks, we are both moving our youngest kids to college. And it will be the third time that each of us have had to do this. So, whether we wanted to be or not, I think we're experts.
I would agree. I agree. I think that once you do it multiple times, you qualify for expert status. And like you said, I think us both going now on our third child moving into college, we're ready to share all the tips and tricks that we've learned. So hopefully you don't make any of these mistakes.
Welcome to Her Travel Expert.
I'm Kirsten Maxwell from Kids Our Trip and Groups Our Trip.
And I'm Meagan Riston from mommytravels.net.
We're here to help you make every trip
Unforgettable.
Yeah, unfortunately, I've made all the mistakes. So, this time's going to be flawless, though.
That's
No,
right.
I think
Always.
maybe one of my top tips is every town has a store. If you forget the trash can, if you forget whatever, guess what? They have it at the store. Now, are there going to be hundreds of other parents at the store and you're going to be waiting in line? Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So now, granted, when I moved my first kid to college, you couldn't get Amazon delivery like you can get now. So that does make it a lot easier. And then everybody has grocery store pickup now too. So that's,
Super
there
helpful.
are ways to get around waiting in line, but you might have to wait a day or two for delivery. So,
That's true. And I would add on to that, we've had that problem with Tuscaloosa just being a town that has like one main store. It's got a main Target. Everybody goes there. So you have to get creative in where you're looking for things. So it might be the CVS. It might be the Home Depot. I mean, there are different stores that aren't going to be your typical home stores, like even a Home Goods. I mean, we'll have different supplies. So just keep that in mind that there's always going to be another store that might have what you're looking for if you can't find it at your go-to.
and that's going to be more and more true the more that town is dependent on that college. Because I know where Noah went off to, Oregon State University, Corvallis is a city because they have a college there. I think the population drops by more than 50% when college isn't in session. So you're absolutely right. Everybody has a little bit of everything for these students.
So tell me this year, what are you doing for getting everything? So Megan's youngest is going to Oklahoma. Mine's heading off to Florida. But what are you doing then to help him move this go around? Like, what have you learned? What are you, maybe something you're leaving behind this time that you thought you needed before? Or maybe are you sourcing everything? Are you driving? How are you getting him?
So we're going to drive. So from my door to his dorm is about 2 hours and 20 minutes. So that's pretty easy. And that's the way Noah was too. Eden was a little further. So for her, we drove up, we started the move in, and I stayed the night because it was just far enough that if we did forget anything, if we needed to do a few more things or whatever, I wanted to still be in town. Jonah, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a day trip and we'll take two cars up. He'll have his own car full of his stuff, and then whatever doesn't fit in his car will be in my car. So we'll drive up, and then hopefully everything goes great and I can just turn around and drive home the same day. I think if it's 4 hours or further away, that's not a day trip. That's, yeah, you need to book a hotel, and hopefully you've booked a hotel way, way in advance. So,
That's
and I
true.
will say one of the biggest mistakes I ever made was the hotel I booked in Austin. So Eden, my middle child, will be a senior at UT Austin this fall. When I took her to Austin, I did not check Austin's social calendar because why would you? But the difference between moving, and this will be the same for Jonah, I don't really have to worry about this in Norman, Oklahoma. There are going to be no major events. But Austin, Texas is a major city in the United States, and they have events all the time. Did I think, oh, is there a major event that might conflict with moving her in? No, I did not. Well, it turns out that it was Pride Parade Day. People fly in for this. This is a major event in Austin. They shut down several of the main streets. And so, what I didn't know is that her dorm is on this side of the street, and I have booked a hotel down here on this side of the street. Getting from point A to point B took hours.
Wow.
So I inadvertently just cost me hours and hours and hours that day. Now, as soon as the parade was over, within a couple of hours, all the streets are open back up and it's fine. The next day it was no big deal. We're zipping right around. But boy, that first day was brutal. So
Yeah. And we've had similar situations when we dropped off Gavin at Alabama. Granted, it was our firstborn, so we kind of didn't, oh, we're going to leave. No, we don't want to leave. And it was 9 hours away. So to your point, like we knew we were staying overnight. But then we also built in like an extra 4 days at the beach so we could zoom back around and check and make sure he was all settled. And of course, the time we come through that he's to see if he's settled, he wanted nothing to do with us. By that point, he's like, I'm out. You guys do your thing. Nice to see you. Hit the road. Talk to you later. And then it's just kind of one of those things where, to your point, if it's a really busy city, you do want to be aware of those things. And same goes for, and this is future you listening to this, graduation. Same thing. If there are other events that are going to happen, family weekend football, it's going to be crazy. If you want to go, book your tickets way in advance. Our football for Parents Weekend this year is the UT Florida game, which why would you choose that weekend of all weekends? The tickets are $400 for parents. It's super crazy. It's a top football game, two massive schools. So we won't be going to Parents Weekend. We will find another weekend to visit, and we will be good with that. And I
so
recommend that too.
I
Go a
did
different weekend.
I did one parents weekend. I paid an disgusting amount of money for a not nice hotel. Everywhere we went was crowded, and that was my first and my last time to do Parents Weekend. And then I only visited at other times. And you know that this year for Noah's graduation, he graduated in May. Or no, sorry, he graduated in June. I slept on the floor at his or his house. And yes, his roommates were there too because I did not book a hotel a year out. And so I was like, I can't believe this. So I've already started looking for a hotel for Eden's graduation, which will be in May, like 9 months. And guess what? We will
They're
not be
awesome.
staying in Austin. We will be
Yeah,
staying in a nearby suburb, is the
that's
closest I can
right.
get.
That's
Or
right.
we'll be on the floor at her apartment.
Yeah. Been there, done that. We had to do that for graduation too. We stayed at a not my favorite hotel chain and probably paid about $700 a night for a room that typically is $150 a night, if even that.
Yeah,
So,
the Best Western in the town that he graduated in was $1,700 a night.
oh,
I was like,
wow.
no, I would
Yeah,
rather
it's
you
a
would
scam.
check
It's a
for
scam.
$1,700 and sleep on your floor.
Plan in advance, plan in advance. So you heard it here first. Learn from us, learn from our mistakes. Don't do that. The one
Well,
thing, go ahead.
oh, and that kind of goes for making like a breakfast reservation, or again, you have all these people in town. So maybe if you can find a place that'll take a reservation for your family for dinner or breakfast, or even if you don't use it, I now make reservations for all kinds of stuff. So when we went to college orientation, we had a lunch reservation. It turned out we didn't need one, but I wasn't sure. So, and I already have our reservation for dinner the day we move in. So,
Oh, good, good.
yeah.
Yeah, and to follow up on my initial question about one thing that you didn't bring or you thought you should have, brought or packed for your kid when you move there, the one thing that comes to mind for me, and especially being here in the South, is damp rid. So for those of you who are not familiar, it is a good thing for humidity in the rooms because they are susceptible to mold, especially here in the South. It's gross, it's damp, and those rooms are just like closets and they get all the moisture and yuck in it. So damp rid is just a bag you hang in the closet and it kind of soaks up all the moisture in the air and helps keep the air clean. You also need an air purifier and usually a dehumidifier too. So just depending on where you go, granted northern schools, I'm not talking to you, but damp rid, game changer.
In Florida, dehumidifiers I mean, you have
Right.
to.
How can you
I
not?
We were stationed there for a couple of years and it ran and ran and ran, never stopped.
Yeah, you need one of those. So
That's interesting. I wouldn't have thought about that. I've been more just, I really focus on anything that saves space. So, like, he's not going to take an iron and an ironing board. Instead, he'll take a small travel steamer,
that's
and
a
that
great
saves
tip
a ton of
too.
room.
And that's actually, I've seen that as a more popular item lately is the smaller travel steamers, because especially if you have a daughter and you have sorority rush, you need a steamer to steam their clothes. Same with guys, don't typically use it, but they might need it for rush to, they have that collared shirt wadded up in the corner. Guess what? You can only get so much of the wrinkles out if you put it in your bathroom. So get a little handheld steamer and show them how to use it before they go.
And one of the things that I did not think about, but when we got there, like Noah realized within the first week of school that he needed a blazer
Oh,
because he
yep.
would be going to different events. And that wasn't rush related, that was purely school related. I was like, oh no, like we ended up going blazer shopping. Luckily, he was only 2 hours from me. So I was able to pop down and but he had never shopped for that before. We just hadn't had the need. I mean, Oregon's
Yeah.
very casual, so he had never needed a suit or anything. So we didn't have one. But Jonah's already said he's had suits for years. So because Texas is a little
And
more.
to your point, I mean, why would you think you need one? But kids do. They do different clubs, activities. They have formal events. They're going to want to have a blazer. The other thing that I think they need is rain gear, depending on where you go. And even I know it's the middle of summer here in Texas, but sending sweatshirts and blankets with your kids because dorm rooms can be really cold. Make sure they're covered with that. The rain gear, super important. I mean, depends, I guess, on where you are, but I'm sure in Oregon it was you just automatically brought it. Florida gets a ton of rain, especially during hurricane season. All the things that you don't think about, like putting in right now because it's summer. Send the winter clothes. They will find a place to put them, and they will put them to use.
I ordered today the hangers that you can hang like 10 things on
Oh
one.
yeah, yeah, I saw those.
Because he's lucky. Eden didn't have a true closet in her dorm room. She ended up in a dorm that was like half renovated, which happens more than you would think. Jonah's roommate's already there, so we've seen the room, and he has a full closet, and he has a door that shuts, which is
Oh,
great.
nice,
That's my first kid
nice.
to have a closet with a door. So not only can he use the hangers that drop down, I got a shoe holder for the back of the door so he can stick all his shoes. Whereas with the other kids, I think I did like a shoe rack across the bottom of their little space so they could at least stack shoes. But we didn't have the ability to hang as much stuff as what we will be able to. So having a closet is really awesome.
It is, and it's funny. As you're saying this, I'm thinking we've had one kid had his room. That was his own bedroom. It was four of them, and they shared a bathroom. The next one had four of them, but two of them shared one bathroom, two shared the other bathroom. But they had their own closets outside of the rooms, even like a little open up the walk-in closet. And then now my last one is the first one who's actually sharing a room, and the room is, I kid you not, it's like 10 by 11, super tiny, no closet, but they have a kitchen and a common area. So, and it's four of them sharing one bathroom. So again, all
Okay.
the things they come in different shapes and sizes. And I would also say when it comes to dorms, make sure you do your research because there are so many XYZ factors when it comes to what works for your kid, how old, age of dorms, I mean, and availability because when we were at Arkansas, freshmen got first choice of dorms. The upperclassmen were, if there was anything left. At Florida, upperclassmen get first choice of dorms. And some of the freshmen are having to get apartments off campus because they ran out of dorm space. So just kind of maybe do your research ahead of time and know about the university, what they're going to have available if you want your kid to stay on campus.
We have rarely had the dorm situation work out the way we wanted. Noah ended up in a triple. So it's that standard tiny room, except they shoved three people in it, which was just awful, which we didn't request. So typically, if you need to save money, that is a great way to save money. He was on the post 9/11 GI Bill his freshman year. We didn't need to save any money. So he would have liked to have had a normal, like just one roommate, not two, but that's how it worked out. And then one thing that was shocking for me, and I'm old school and I'm from the Bible Belt and I went to Texas Tech. And so when we chose his dorm, I did not know that it was going to be co-ed. And I found out it was co-ed and I was like, well, I don't love it. I know a lot of people don't think that's a big deal. I thought it was a huge deal. And I thought, well, at least it'll be like one floor's guys, one floor's girls. No, one side of the hall was guys and one side of the hall was girls. So, I'm carrying stuff up to his room and I'm like, why are all these girls up here? I did not like that. So those are some things to ask about. So then when Eden went to college, I'm like, you're going to the all girls dorm. No choice. And she was in the all girls dorm and I was very happy.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't even think about that, but I mean, I was in an all girls dorm in college too. So ninth
Yeah.
floor, hated it because the boys thought it'd be fun to pull fire drills all the time. So
I was in an all
yeah.
girls both years I lived in the dorm, so I think that's the way it should be. And I don't know what that says about me. Take it for what it is, but and then Jonah, he had 3 roommates picked out. We thought he was going to get the apartment style. 2 of them got it, and the other 2 didn't. They did
Oh,
not get paired together, so he's just going to be in a regular dorm, not in the building we thought, not even on the section of campus we thought, and we got what we
oh,
got.
wow, that's fun.
I know. So, how are you feeling about taking that third last child to college?
It's a really weird stage of life, right? Like you get ready, you're like, oh, empty nest. And then it's like, oh no, I got my oldest one coming back home and living with me. And I love him because he's in the other room listening. But
I want
uh,
my oldest to come home and move back. That jerk. He's
yeah,
like, I don't want to live there. I'm like, you are selfish. You don't love me.
come back. I'll save you money.
Because I'm a single mom. I'm just by myself. But people are like, oh, are you so sad? How are you holding up? I'm like, I feel fine. I'm going to Turks and Caicos 2 days after I
Right.
drop him off.
See, I think that's where you and I are very similar. I'm like, bye-bye. I'm going off to all these different trips this fall because I don't want to be home. So, and I got a built-in dog sitter. So, ching, I win. So,
I
not
know
super
you're going to
sad.
France. And
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. And Turkey. So, gonna
that's
have a fun
right.
time. Yeah.
That's a
So,
great way to deal with it.
yeah.
Plan something
Just
fun.
leave. Just leave.
You
It's
know
great.
what? You can cry on a beach or you could
Yeah.
cry at home.
That's right. Why do I need to be at home? So,
Yeah. So,
yeah. And he's coming home for a big football game in October. So I feel like, we have dates on the calendar. And I guess that's maybe another tip is schedule out some dates. I wouldn't say like go visit him 2 weeks after you move him in, but 6 weeks. Parents' weekend's good if you want to manage the crowds. But, just give yourself time to touch base with them, I would say once during the first semester, whether it's them coming home or you going there.
well, you've done something with your boys that I did not do with my kids, where you go out for the weekend and you cook a meal and
Yeah.
talk about that because I think that's really
Yeah,
clever.
that was something I started with my oldest. It was so nice to go spend a weekend. I'd rent a condo because you can find those pretty much in every town, just, Verbo or Airbnb. And I had a kitchen. So I thought, why not cook for his friends? So started freshman year, went out, cooked meal. I mean, the first time it was like dinner, breakfast, dinner. I mean, it was several meals because that's how you get to know the kids they're hanging out with. And it just kind of built into a routine where I try to do it once a year, go out, hang out with all the friends, make a meal because these kids love a home cooked meal. So, I mean, I wasn't making anything fancy. I think I did chili one time, spaghetti, fajitas. I mean, easy to make and just something that everybody appreciated. And I appreciated getting to know his new friends.
So speaking of cooking,
Uh-oh.
one of the mistakes I realized is that I did not have Noah cook enough before he left for college. So then I had the other 2 chefing it up. I mean, I'm like, you got to make a
That's what
meal
you're gonna
once a
do.
week.
Good. That's super smart. I love that because I
Yeah.
feel
So Eden's cooked a ton the last couple of years, and I think Jonah will be raring to go with that as well. So
and that's where I'm falling short. Where I have Gavin is the one who can cook. That's my oldest. And then my youngest is like, I have no idea what I'm doing. Can you make some eggs for me? Like eggs, these are easy here. It's like crack it,
girl,
but
you got like a week left. Y'all can be
yeah.
cooking every day.
I'm getting on it. That's on the schedule. What meals are we cooking? Even last night, Gavin told me, he's like, I'm going to get out my air fryer. I'm going to make this pasta dish. I'm like, go. Like, if you want to cook once a week, please, by all means, I will buy the groceries and save me a time at the stove and, doing the dishes and all the things. So I vote yes.
Now, back to so you're probably having to plan out visits a lot more thoroughly than us. So, one of the things that I prefer my kids to do is try and get all their classes either have a 4-day week or a 3-day week and shove all those classes Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Monday through Thursday. So they have a constant 3-day or 4-day weekend. So Jonah is going to end up his first semester having a 4-day weekend. So, and he can just pop home. I mean, he can just drive home. But I mean, how far of a drive? Your son
Yeah.
can't drive home.
That's really interesting because I didn't think about it that way. But Gavin, for his first, I think 3 years, never had a class on a Friday. was like, I don't know how you manage that. With my schedule in college, it was like luck of the draw. This is when the class is, you're going to take it. And then Ronan just came back with his schedule, and he doesn't have classes on Monday, and he gets done Fridays at 11. So basically he can come home and just
Perfect.
be home for the weekend, a long weekend. Granted, it's 14 hours driving, so we're not popping in all the time, but it's an easy direct flight, so he can fly here if he needs to, or I can fly there. So
Nice.
yeah, I think that is a good tip to just kind of when they're making their schedule. And again, it's not going to work out every time, but if they can find an extra day on either end to make a little bit of a longer weekend, why not?
And figure out that main airline you're going to be flying, sign up for their frequent flyer account, start building those miles.
Great tip.
And because, I mean, if your kid's flying, like for us, we're both near DFW airport, so we both fly American a ton. And that was one of the things when I moved here was I immediately switched because I had Delta in Alaska, being in the Pacific Northwest. I immediately switched to American Airlines and started building that because the more you fly them, the quicker your status grows, and it'll make the airport experience a little easier for you. So,
Agree.
yeah,
And ours is really spoiled because we have a credit card with lounge privileges. And so we just added him to our credit card so he can build his credit history. And he also gets the benefit of using the lounge when he flies out of
that's
DFW.
perfect. And honestly, it's going to save you money if he's like grabbing meals in the lounge instead of paying at the
Exactly.
airport. Yeah.
Yeah, way cheaper.
The other day, how much did we pay for Taco Bell in the Dominican in the
Oh,
Punta
I
Cana
can't even
airport?
imagine. 40.
$60 for Taco Bell for the four of us.
What? Oh
And
my
that was cheaper than
gosh.
Wendy's. And I'd like to
That's
tell you that we ate like kings, but we did not. I
like
had a burrito.
one bean burrito for you
Yeah.
and one drink. That's
You
all
get
you
a
get.
burrito. You get a burrito.
That's funny.
Yeah, when I was trying to pay, I was like, I'm sorry, how much? I was like, I
Yeah.
feel like you marked that up. So
Just a little bit. I have to go back because I remembered I forgot to say how we're getting all of Ronan's stuff to school because, like I said, 14 hours. Okay. Husband wanted to drive. And I was like, great. 14 hours one way, but we have to still come back 14 hours. And that means I have 14 hours I got to spend with you in the car. And I love you, but that doesn't sound like fun to me. So I convinced him to drive. But what we've been doing, I mean, fly, sorry, not drive, is we're going to use a company called Ship Pack, and we'll put it in the show notes. It's SHIP, and then I think, yeah, PACK. And what we're doing is we're going to ship our bags ahead, 2 bags, and it's about $150. And they're going to just ship them, and we'll pick them up at our hotel. They'll drop them at our hotel in Gainesville. So that goes ahead. We already flew out once for orientation, and my nephew lives there, so I left a bag with him too. So I mean, it's kind of you have to use your friends. We've been the house destination for friends who have kids going to TCU or SMU who just need a place to drop stuff because they
mhm.
don't want to be running around to all the stores the day they get here. So, if you have a friend in the city where your child's going to school, by all means, reach out to them. I mean, I'm happy to do reciprocate for people, and I know a lot of people just say find a corner in their garage and put your stuff there and keep it until you're ready for it.
Another way to connect with people is there's parent groups for the colleges. So I'm in a parent group for UT. I was in a parent group for OSU. I haven't joined one yet for OU, but I guess that's on my to-do list this week. That way, like something does come up, you need help with something, you could pop it in that Facebook group and you'd be shocked. Like all these parents are in the same boat. They want to help each other out. People are visiting at different times, and you'd be surprised what you can figure out just through a tiny bit of networking through a Facebook group.
Yeah, and that's a great tip too because we've used the Facebook group for finding rides back and forth between Arkansas and DFW because I didn't send my son with a car. So he had to find a way to get home, and those groups are great for matching you up with someone who might have a kid coming home that weekend, and you just reach out and say, "Hey, my kid wants a ride," and 9 times out of 10 it works out. So just remember to some of those things in those groups don't get attached to people running around like chicken with their head cut off, like, oh my God, they can't do this. I mean, because that will happen. People will put stuff out on social media that's just simply not true. And so you really have to go through it with a fine tooth comb and make sure you're reading everything and getting confirmation that that is indeed the right story.
Yes. Like I know the OSU group, somebody said the campus is on lockdown. There's a live, you know
Hmm.
what? That
Yeah.
was not true. It was not true. So I'm like texting Noah, I'm like, you good? You good? Like, and this is when he lived on campus and he's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, okay, it's nothing. So
And that's something serious because I mean, my niece is at Florida State. And so when they had the shooter there, they were all on lockdown, but they were getting some of their news from social media. So again, but it wasn't true. I mean, it said there were multiple shooters. So it's like you have, and again, I hate that we're even talking about this, but just your kids need to be aware of their surroundings. And we can even talk more about that and just, them being in a new college town and how do you encourage them to be safe and get connected so that you feel safe at home. So what do you do with your kids?
well, a couple of different things. So, depending on which campus, they have an alert system. So, everybody signs up for it. I sign up for it, they sign up for it. UT has a great system for, I mean, if your kid needs a ride for some reason, maybe they've had too much to drink. I mean, my perfect angels would never, but they'll come get you. And they had Uber credits. And I know for me, my daughter is very small. And so I do worry about her safety. And so when she decided to move off campus, which I wanted her to do 2 years on campus, and she did not. So we found like the closest apartment to campus we could just to reduce, I didn't want her walking 20 minutes one way. It's one thing for my son to walk 20 minutes one way. I felt like it was not the same for her. She has a
Yeah.
5-minute walk, and I pay more for that
Because of it.
privilege. Stuff like that. I mean, also send them with a first aid kit. I mean, you think about all the things they might need: Band-Aids, Tylenol, just there's all these little things you don't think about, and then you just need it, and like save them a trip to CVS if they've already got it.
Yeah, I think, I was going to ask if you do Life 360 with your kids. So,
No, I stalk them on Snapchat map.
okay, well, there you go. So, I mean, that's
Same.
another thing but you know where your kids are. I think that was the hardest thing for me in the beginning is my kid did not want Life 360 and I respected that. But how do I get a hold of him if I can't get a hold of him? So it's kind of, I think maybe that was also the reason for me going in and meeting his friends. Like now I know somebody there, like, or I can reach out to them on Instagram and be like, hey, I haven't heard from him in a couple days. Have you seen him around kind of thing? And very
Yeah,
indiscreet.
it's a reasonable request that you know the roommate's phone number.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a reasonable request that you know the RA's phone number, who is like the dorm hall person. These are all reasonable things. It's not outrageous for a parent to ask this. So, if your kid's like, oh, you're being ridiculous. No, you're not. No, you're not. That is perfectly reasonable. I will say moving Noah to college was super scary. His epilepsy was not well controlled. And so I was very nervous. So it was a much higher priority to me to know where is the clinic? Where can you see a doctor? Here are 3 doctors that you could go see. Where's urgent care? Where's the ER? Like we got him a medical bracelet, which he had never worn before because everybody knew him where we were at. And
Right.
now part of the reason he chose to go to OSU is because so many of the people he knew were going there, and he felt like that was safer for him, and that if he did have an issue, somebody would know him and get him help. But it was just, that was very. I wanted his roommates educated on like his emergency medication. Here's what you do. Absolutely call 911. So that's kind of a weird circumstance, but probably all the kids should know where's urgent care, where's the ER, how does the clinic work on campus because they don't all work the same. At UT, I think Eden doesn't see the doctor at UT, and we don't pay for a medical fee because they do it different and they take your insurance, and it's not. When I went to tech, I paid a fee and I could go to the clinic anytime I wanted and I could get a prescription. And I don't think that I paid for it beyond that fee, but that was not something that she has access to. Instead,
Yeah,
we found a primary care physician for her in Austin.
yeah, and now that you're saying that, I'm thinking. So Ronan has, as you know, a nut allergy, and so does Eden. But I mean, even just telling their roommate, like, "Hey, this is a situation," because I hadn't thought about that yet, but I probably do need to let the roommate know. Hey, he has a nut allergy, so like no eating and touching everything with peanut butter all over the room, kind of thing, unless you want to get him to the hospital, because that's what you're going to be doing. So
Mhm.
to your point, for them to know where is the hospital, how do they get, to go to urgent care, the student health center, because some of them are, you make your appointments and it takes a week. Others are you could be walk in and go the same day. run-ins doing allergy shots through school. So we had to learn how to transfer all of his allergy vials from here to Florida. So, I mean, there are just things that you don't always think about. But when you have a kid that has medical issues, they certainly come to the forefront of like, you want to make sure those things are checked off. Make sure you contact the student health center ahead of time if your child has like a medication need or something that you're worried they wouldn't have there available for them should they need it.
And one of the things I did senior year of high school is you're going to take yourself to the doctor. I'm not going to go with you. And then if they need to FaceTime me from the doctor's office and ask how to fill out the paperwork, that's fine, but they have to do it themselves. They have to get their prescription filled, paid for, and picked up. And they have to do it all by themselves. And that might sound silly, but there are all these kids that are never taught to do any of this. So, you know, and if you just have them do it one time, that's all
Yep.
really all you need to do. So
That's right.
a little bit of information goes a long way. So yeah, I would show his roommate how to use an EpiPen.
Adding to my list.
How fun.
Yeah.
And this and that and this. It is, I mean, it's a lot. Like that, the day you move them in, it's a lot. People are like, oh, do you unpack over a couple of days? No, not really. My goal is to have everything done that day. That way, everything I've forgotten can be taken care of the next day.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And that goes to like, maybe you do give yourself an extra day there when you move them in because they're so busy that first day of setting everything up that sometimes you don't realize till the next day, oops, this is what I missed. Yeah, give yourself a buffer either way. And I'm telling you, maybe you need to do this too, because like to drive up and back, I'm like, wow, that is very brave of you.
I know.
Not that far either. So you could, run something up next week if you need to. Or
Well, I'm like, it's my third time. I'm going to do such a great job. But you know what? Because it is my third time, you think I've even bought sheets yet? No.
Oh, come on.
We went to Target
I've
the other
even done
day and
that.
like I feel the sheets and I was like, nah.
Yeah.
No. I was trying to figure out where else to go because when the other two went off, Bed Bath and Beyond was open.
Oh, right.
And I could just go through Bed Bath and Beyond and get everything I needed in one stop. Like,
No, not anymore.
yeah, so you know where I'm going to go, and it's on our to-do list this week. Is they reopened like a J.C. Penney's home store near us.
Really?
Yeah, so we're going to go hit that, and
Okay.
hopefully,
Let me know what you find. Fingers
I
crossed.
will. I know. Hopefully, it's good.
Yeah.
I went to. I saw a TikTok about Dirty Dillard's, which is a Dillard's clearance center.
I heard that.
So-
What is that?
Okay, so there's one not far from. It's in between where you and I live. So I
Really?
went to it, and
We're
it's
gonna do
all
it.
clearance.
Awesome. I'm
But
on
the
it.
home section wasn't that good. But I would have had to have had Jonah with me to like pick stuff out. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
pick all the stuff. Yeah, it's all clearance, and it was really good deals. So
Awesome.
yeah,
Sign me up.
I mean they don't call it Dirty Dillard's, but
No, but TikTok does.
it's actually called Dillard's clearance. Sorry, Dillard.
Sorry, we love you, Dillard.
I do think it's important to coordinate with the roommate. Like, are you bringing a microwave? Are you? We got kind of lucky this year because Jonah's roommate is a football player, and he isn't going to play football at OU, but he is a like an equipment manager. So
Oh,
he
sure.
has been there with the team. So
Oh, nice.
he already moved into the room. So we
Oh,
got videos, and
that's a
so he showed
bonus.
up with a mini fridge, a microwave, a rug. I'm like,
Please do. And then I'm bringing like the nightstand table that goes between their beds because there's only 18 inches of space between their two beds. So they can hold hands while they're sleeping. I don't know. But, just trying to like have those conversations that I wasn't able to have with the other kids' roommates, but they didn't need it because they each had their own room within a set. So
yes.
now we're sharing that space. So it's kind of like you said, you have to have those hangers that have like 10 things can hang on them. And, so I'm gonna have to go
But
check
look
this
at this lamp I bought. Actually, I just got it in. So I bought this lamp. So
Oh,
it's like
nice.
really small.
Yep.
And it adjusts and
got
you
a
can move it
cup.
around.
Oh, yep.
And it's got the built-in pencil holder.
Yeah, nice.
It's got a
Nice.
plug-in. And
Okay.
then it's got a USB-C and a regular
Nice.
USB. So
Perfect.
I was like, I just knocked out because like now he can charge three things off of one desk lamp.
Awesome.
I'm like, all right, I felt pretty good about this purchase. I'm going to drop a link in the
Good. And that reminds me, bring a surge protected
adapter.
power
What
strip.
is it called? Power strip. Yeah.
Yep. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. But bring a power strip because you're going to have all these devices and not that many outlets. I think our room maybe has 3 different outlets in it. So that's very few for 2 people with all these electronics trying to
is.
meet. and bring a small portable fan. So whether it's a clip-on fan or some, little plug-in or operates on batteries, every kid should have their own personal fan. And I'm not talking the big oscillating fan. I'm talking about the small, tiny, probably like almost the size of my microphone kind of fan. That's what everybody should have, because you'll have those days it gets really hot in the winter because they put the heat up super hot. So,
And then one thing I did for Eden, and then I ordered for Jonah, is a little tiny white noise machine.
nice.
And it will also play music, so it's
Oh,
itty
there you go.
bitty. But he was like, I
Good
don't
try.
want that. He's like, I've got a waterproof speaker. I'm like, oh, yeah,
Not
you
the
could just use
same.
that. My bad. So I'm going to send it back. But
Yeah, they don't
no.
know till they don't know, right?
And then I already filled up his pencil holder with like pencils and pens I already had around the house because I'm like, I'm not buying the stuff. I already
Oh,
got it.
right.
I was like,
I
I
have
got an extra pair of scissors too. Here you go.
I have another idea I just thought about that we should discuss. It's meal plans, dining. What do you do with the meal plans during freshman year? I don't know how, because every campus is different, right? So some have meal cards, some have certain restaurants where you can only use points for there. Some, like you said, don't have a microwave in the room. Some don't. I mean, we have a full kitchen. I mean, full kitchen in Ronan's dorm. It has a stove, an oven, a refrigerator, full refrigerator, microwave. So, I mean, how do you adjust what amount of
So
money
we
you're
don't
spending?
have access to that, which was very disappointing.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so he will just have the mini fridge and the microwave in the room, and then OU does this. You get so many swipes a week, and
Yes.
then you have
Yep.
points to use. And I hate it, and it's super complicated. And I'm just
Mhm.
hoping once he gets there, it makes perfect sense. Because when they describe it, I'm like, could you have made this more complicated? But maybe once you're doing it, it's
I
fine.
I
But
think that must be it, because I feel like that's what most of them go for right now, is that meal
yes,
swipe and
so
points, and I don't get
the
it, but the
most
kids
swipes
seem
you can
to.
get a week is 14, and I'm like, 14 meals? My kid is a 6 meal a day kinda kid. First
That's
breakfast,
funny.
second breakfast, first
Yeah,
lunch, second lunch. You
funny.
get the idea.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a growing boy,
Yeah,
apparently,
gotta eat all the
still.
food.
So then I'm like, "Well, how many points can we get, and how many meals will that be?" So I
Yeah.
think we're covered, but I
Okay,
was like,
good.
I bought the maximum amount of swipes and then the max amount of points, and
Okay.
then if it's too much, we can lower it. If it's not enough to begin with, you're gonna be paying a lot out of pocket for some other stuff while you
Yeah.
figure it out.
Okay, and here's my other thing I thought about. How did you get your kids to become, and it maybe it's just a kid dependent thing. How did you encourage them to be involved in things on campus? Because I think that for a lot of parents is a scary thing. You're sending your kid off. How are they going to meet friends? Da da da. Tell me, like, what kind of things were offered by the universities, and what did your kids find to get involved with?
I really wanted my kids to rush because I rushed and I really liked it. They have zero interest in that. So I'm about to be 3 for 3, nobody rushed. One thing I like about OU is that so he's moving in a little early. He didn't have to move in for like 6 more days or something, but there's a camp that you could pay for. And I'm hoping he just meets tons of people and figures it out. I mean, he knows some of the kids that he's going, he already knows his roommate. They play football together the last 4 years. And then they have some other friends that are going there. So he loves to play pickleball. So he should look for pickleball. He loves to work out. So he'll definitely be at the gym. So I think, I think you play on what your kid is already interested in. And yes, they can come up with more diverse interests once they get there. But if you've got something that they're kind of in, whether it's video gaming or I'm trying to think what Eden ended up joining. She has done different stuff, but her roommate did something super interesting and she's a K-pop dancer. And she wasn't
Really?
like a dancer in high school or anything, but she's like in a club and does all this stuff with her club.
No
And
way.
I was like, wow,
That's
that's
super
so
cool.
random. But a lot of these colleges have like 100, 200, 1,000 student organizations that they can be part of. Eden joined the newspaper for a while, so she met some people through that. She's a journalism major, so it was like something she was interested in. And then Noah was a gymnast all through high school and found a club team at OSU and eventually became the president of it. Although his freshman roommates were randomly assigned, he then met all these people through the gymnastics club, and then all his roommates moving forward were from gymnastics club.
I love that.
Yeah.
Love that. And I think one thing that I like about a lot of the schools in the South is they do the 1 week, like you're talking about OU, of kind of a get to know kind of thing. I think they have frog camp, fish camp, the whole thing. And at Alabama, Gavin did the honors college. They did what's called honors action, where they brought in the kids a week early and they worked in the community. And so they're every day they're at a school painting, building benches, whatever, getting to know each other. And so those really were his core friendships, not only first year, but some of them lasted through all 4 years of school. So he did intramurals, he did a fraternity. So, I mean, those were things that he could meet people through. There's a business fraternity. I know at Florida, where Ronan's going, there are a ton of finance fraternities. Fraternities is being the loose word. They're not really like that, but where if you want to be involved in the finance field, it's very important for them to kind of get linked in with those people. And intramurals are a big thing there. I mean, when you're in the South and you can be outside all the time, I mean, volleyball is big there, basketball is big. So I think he's going in with a mindset that that's what he wants to do, is get involved in some intramural stuff and make friends that way. So
I know one thing Eden loved is they offered a program for freshmen, and different schools do it different ways. I know some of it's you spend your first semester abroad with a small
yeah.
group. Eden did a May term in Ireland with a small group, and they take 20 freshmen. So she had to apply for it. It wasn't guaranteed, and that was something that you had to find. That very first semester she found out about it. She applied. She was accepted. So then the next semester, she had a class once a week with all these kids. Through that semester, got to know them, and then went to Ireland with them. So she's really good friends with some of those kids still. And
That's a
it's been
great
several
idea.
years since they went. So I think that's a really neat opportunity. Noah had zero interest in going abroad. He's like, "You have dragged me all over the world." Absolutely not. Like, his primary reason for rejecting Texas Tech, my school, is because they make you go abroad. You have to
Oh,
spend
do
either
they?
one semester in Spain or one in Costa Rica. It's
Oh,
required.
I didn't know that.
He was
Okay.
like, "No."
Yeah. Well, and
I was
it's
like,
funny. I know that Florida State has a program where you study abroad for your freshman year, and then you get in-state tuition for the next 3 years in Florida. So
"Oh,
one of
what a
my
great way to
friends,
get in
her
state."
daughter did that. So, I mean, but what a great opportunity. You get to study abroad, and then you also get to have the benefit, or your parents get the benefit, or whoever's paying for it, of, having to pay much less on your tuition bill. So,
So one of the things I was worried about was the out-of-state tuition, because there are some states that have they won't charge you out of state. Like, if so, we're in Texas, and used to Oklahoma did not charge you out of state. They do now,
right.
and
Okay.
it's not even a certain percentage. It's 100% out of state. And I was like, dang, I really don't want to pay that. I wonder if we could get in state. Well, because he's using part of the GI Bill, they're waiving the out of state tuition because he's
Oh,
a
nice.
military kid.
Nice.
So sometimes there's ways to, sometimes you can find a way to get the in state, but it is difficult. So I mean, that's something to keep in mind though when you're college
Yeah.
shopping is.
Exactly. And that's why Gavin went to Alabama. I mean, they, based on his grades and his test scores, he basically, it ended up being like 2,500 a semester for tuition. So, I mean, you can't touch that anywhere. I mean, even in Texas, I couldn't touch that. So we're like, yep, you can go to school there. And then Finn, when he went to Arkansas, my boys are all Choctaw, and the tribe has a relationship with the University of Arkansas because it's built on tribal land. So they will give all Choctaw students in-state tuition. So he was
Oh my
going,
gosh, that's
yeah,
great.
yeah. So
Well, and I think Arkansas used to waive out of state tuition for Texas kids, and now I
I
think
think
it's
so,
they'll waive like 80%.
because there's too many of them.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like Oklahoma part two, So it's like
Mhm.
if your kids don't want to be in Texas, they're going to Oklahoma or Arkansas. So
Very
it's
true.
good. Good save money.
Let's see. What are some other life skills that they need to know the day they move in? Laundry.
Laundry. Laundry. And I can't believe it. They actually have a program called like Tide Laundry, where they'll come in, get your kids' laundry, take it away, wash it, and bring it back to them. I was like, oh no, we are not doing that. You're going to learn to do your own laundry, sit through all the cycles. But you have to know too, some schools, the kids are ferocious. And if you leave anything, like your underwear is going to be on the floor, they're tearing your stuff out of the dryers, and they don't care. So make sure if your kid's going to do laundry that they either sit there or they're really on top of their timer so they know to get back on time, so nobody else is kicking them out of the units.
You know what? Now that you mentioned that, OU offers laundry service. And I was just like, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Not paying for that.
No, thank you.
But I remember when I moved into my dorm and my roommate just wasn't washing her clothes. She rarely washed clothes. And I thought, what's the deal? And finally she's like, can you show me how to use the washer? I was like,
Oh,
you don't know how to use a washer and a
right.
dryer?
Wow.
I'm like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah. That and telling your kids how often to change their sheets. Like we send 2 sets of sheets so that they can swap them out. But some kids would go the whole semester and never change their sheets.
Now, one thing I've seen, which I thought was interesting, is the rise of the Pinterest decorating the room, where they
Yeah.
transform these dorm rooms into an immaculate,
Hotel, basically.
thin, like, I don't do that.
No. Well, and I think, I mean, you do have a daughter, but like with boys, I was always like, hey, throw a flag up on the wall, throw a school banner on the wall, done. Decor is
Yep,
done. Yeah,
exactly.
your sheets match kind of. And, we're not doing all the color coordinating. It's funny because Ronan's girlfriend is going to Arkansas and she's telling me, oh, I have all this. And then my roommate has matching this and that and this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like it is a thing. And I'm not here for it. So
Yeah, I'm here to tell you, you don't have to do that.
this is right. This is so
This is some
true.
sort of unrealistic thing that has happened over the course of the last few years. And
Yeah.
I'm like, why?
Social
Because
media.
you know what? They're gonna have those extra long twin sheets. Where are they gonna use that next year?
Right.
Where are they gonna
Nowhere.
use these decorations again? I mean, maybe they'll reuse them, but maybe not because they're
Nowhere.
gonna be in an apartment the next year.
Yep.
So I will say though, the mattresses have always sucked, no matter which dorm situation my kids were in. So
Yep.
I get them that like a memory foam
Mattress
3
topper.
mattress topper.
Yeah.
Makes a
And a
world of
mattress
difference.
pad cover thing. Whatever
Yeah,
you call that. Yeah. It's just gross. It's
yeah,
just gross.
covering
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. Speaking of apartments, because, a lot of people, when they leave the dorms, they transfer their kids into apartments. So then you have to think about the middle months of storage. And so just keep that in mind. Like whatever you're taking with you now, are you bringing it back and make plans for that now? Because that will be another busy weekend that they will try to charge you more money. What are you gonna leave? Do you have a place to keep it? Sometimes there'll be friends that are staying for the summer, whatever, or you're paying for a local storage facility. We ended up buying a condo because we see it as a good investment in Tuscaloosa, and we were able to go through 3 years of not having to move in, move out, move in, move out. And so now that we still have that condo, the association will rent it for us. So we're still making money on that condo, but it depends on, does the A, do you have the money to do that? And B, does it make sense for the market in that town? But a lot of college towns are good for investments. That's actually what we did. I don't think you even know this, but before we even got married, we bought an investment property near Arizona State so that we could have renters when we moved away.
Okay. Do you still have it?
No, we ended up buying 3 different properties there, sold them all for probably 100% or more profit.
I wish I had bought a place in Austin
Yeah,
because the rent that we have paid is totally outrageous. I mean,
ridiculous. Yeah.
just totally outrageous. Prices went up so fast in Austin. It
It
just,
was hard to stay on top of. That makes
well,
sense.
honestly, yeah. So, and every year she's been there, I'm like, should I buy something, anything? And I just
Mhm.
haven't. So no, it's a good idea. I think if you can afford it, then
Yeah,
yeah.
and you kind of got to weigh between, like you said, what are you paying on rent? What would a mortgage payment cost you? What's the value in it? So, I mean, again, not for everybody, but it was something that we looked into. We looked into doing it in Fayetteville. The market there is so saturated with high pricing because there's a housing shortage. So it was not worth it to buy a house there. Not that we really even considered it, but you kind of have to look at the market and see if it's something that it would bear.
I will say, like one of the questions I asked at the like when we did the college visit at OU, I was like, "Well,
Yeah.
what's the average cost of like an apartment here?" And they were like, "Oh, it's a little high." I'm like, "How high?" And they were like, "It's about 800 a month." I was like, I was like, "Oh, that sounds amazing." Let me tell you what, Austin's a lot more than that.
That's right. That's
I was like,
right.
"Oh my gosh." I was like,
Oh,
"That's
yeah.
so cheap." And so it's all about, I
It's
don't
all
know.
relative. Yeah. compared to what you've already been getting.
Did anyone give you a good piece of advice before you dropped Gavin?
Trying to think. Not really. I think that looking back at it now, I think we needed to have a better conversation about what the expectations were on our end as far as communication. Because for him, he would have gone a month without even checking in. And so we kind of had to bring it back in and be like, okay, every Sunday you just need to put aside time to check in with us. And he wasn't super good about that. And it was very stressful. I mean, because you're worried, like, are they okay? Are they making friends? Are they eating? You know, all the things. And it's like, you really need to you need to let them grow, because that's for them. This is their time now. But you also need to convey to them how important it is to maintain a relationship with their parents. You know, like, don't just call the parents in case of an emergency. Like, call and tell me how your day was. Like, I ended up resorting to bribery at some point. Like, send me a photo of you on your first day of school and I will put $1 in your, whatever account. Send me a picture of you at a football game. That's another $1. Me with your friends, that's a $2, So somebody at Alabama came up with this like scavenger hunt thing for like, send this to your kids the first day of school. And I was like, yep, whatever you can check off this list picture wise, I will pay you for those. Like, so it's just having that open line of communication with your kids about expectations.
Yeah, I had to
What about
take a
you?
chill pill because, leaving Noah, I was very, very scared. And, I was like, what are we going to do if this doesn't go well? Because I didn't know if he could realistically live somewhere without us.
Yeah.
He did fine. But I checked in every day for a long time. I wanted to know every single day, you
Yeah.
good? How you
Yeah.
feeling? No
Yeah.
issues? Like, we're seizure free?
Yeah.
Awesome. So
Yeah.
so it was more of me, like I needed to calm down. So nobody warned me how horrific it was to leave your first child at college.
Right.
I was like, why didn't you tell me that it was like someone ripped my heart from my chest and threw it on the ground and ran it over?
Yeah.
Why? And then, but then I'm like, is it because he's kind of sick? And so I'm so paranoid and scared that it was that bad. But then I've had other friends that after I told them that it was so horrific, they're like, you're right. That was horrible. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, so it's not just me. But then when I left Eden, I was like, bye.
That was going to be my next comment. It was like, first one, hard. Like, I got home, I shut the door to his room. I didn't want to think about it. We're done. Number two, bye-bye. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. Now for three, I'm like, I think I'm going to be a little bit sad because, he and I have spent all this time now together without his brothers at home. And so it's like we have a different kind of relationship than I had with the first one. So,
Yeah, I mean, it's just been Jonah and I for the last 3 years. I
yeah.
mean, so I was like, oh, I gotta make some new friends.
Time to change. Time for new things, Mom.
Maybe I'll get a boyfriend.
There you go. No.
I'll just travel more.
That's right. That's always the answer. When in
I was
doubt,
just,
just travel.
I was just negotiating a trip, and they were like, "Could you do more than 3 days?" I was like, "Yeah,
Yes, I
I can
can.
stay as long as you want me
Week?
to."
A month? I'm moving
I'm
in.
like, as long as I'm in the country, why don't I do 3 or 4 nights at every property you work with?
There you go. Perfect. Why not? I'll just hit them all.
Nobody cares where I am.
Some days they do. Some days people will check in on you. And that's the thing. What do you do in case of an emergency when you're traveling and your kids in school? Because I know people talk about this even when your kids away at summer camp. They don't want to leave the country because what if something happens to their kid? I mean, do you have a contingency plan for if something goes AWOL and you're not there? And it
You
doesn't have to
know,
be you're out of the country. Like,
I
what if you can't get
should.
there? Yeah.
I mean, they do have a dad.
Yeah. Well, there's that.
They can
Yeah.
call him, but he travels for work as well. So there have been times where we were both. I have had one of the kids complain that I was out of the country at the same time as their dad, and they're like, "That y'all are both out of the country. What if I needed something?" I'm like, "But you didn't." They could call my brother, they could call my sister, like they
Yeah.
could call you. I mean,
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
so
Yeah. And I think that just goes back to the whole like, make sure you have that conversation with them. Like, I am going to want to know how to get a hold of you. I'm going to tell you who to call if I'm not available. I mean, so just make sure those conversations are had before you send them off into the next version of themselves.
But that's where it really pays to make sure they got a lot of life skills, like they know how to take themselves to the doctor. It won't matter if you're in the country because they were able to take care of it all by themselves.
That's right.
So
That's right.
I don't want to knock on any parents. It's hard to raise a child and it's hard
No.
to give them all the skills that they need. But you are not doing your child a favor when you do everything for them.
Amen.
And the older they get, the less you should be doing.
Yeah.
And the more that they should be doing. And that just,
Yeah.
you're going to make a more successful adult when you empower them to be an adult.
That's right.
So,
two more things that I just thought of when you're talking about that other life skills that they should have. Financial, like that they know what things cost, what kind of money they have, and kind of how to balance their spending, because otherwise they'll find themselves in trouble. Don't let them get a credit card.
yes, they're going to do it anyway.
Top
They're
of
going
the
to do it
list.
behind your back.
They are, and
They'll do it.
mine has, and I don't know what he was thinking because the credit card came to my house.
Same.
Not going to happen. And then the next one is time management. If they have bad time management skills, like from the get-go, tell them like, this is different than high school. Nobody is organizing your time for you. You need to be setting aside when you're doing your studying, when you have your playtime, like get the work done. Don't let it sit until midnight on Sunday night when it's due. Like just get it done.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's going to the library after your class or in between classes and getting the assignments done. But time management skills, financial literacy, two big
Also,
ones.
your butt better be in that chair. You better be attending class.
That's right. They won't all the time, but we can hope.
That's where it's nice to be able to track them.
Yeah.
So I look on the Snapchat map and I'm like, you're not at
You in
school.
class?
You're at your girlfriend's house. Why are you at your girlfriend's
Not
house?
school. Not school. Okay. Anything else that we want to cover? I feel like we've done this topic. Hopefully people have found it useful because we've had a lot of great tips that I wish I had heard before I sent my kids off to school. So
I think mentally it's harder on you than it is on them. I think if you've got a kid that really wants to come home the first couple of weeks, there's no shame in that. And if they need to come home, they come home. Because I've had some friends' kids that they needed to come home. You know what? Not everyone needs to go off and have that experience. I really wanted that for my kids. And then I was like, why did I do this? I want them at home. Like, why did I encourage this? But different kids have different personalities. I know that the colleges now are really big on mental health. I'll just ask my kids, how's your mental health?
Yeah.
You good? They're like, you're
Yeah.
so weird. They're like, why can't you
No,
ask like subtle
totally
questions? I'm like,
normal.
I'm not a subtle person. So
Yeah. And you got to let your kids lead. Like you said, like if they want, they're like, I'm not feeling this right now. I just need a weekend at home. Let them come home.
embrace yourself. There will be times when they're upset and you cannot get to them. It might be a week before you can get there or a week before you can fly them home or whatever. And that sucks.
Yeah.
But that's also life. And,
Yep.
if
It's
you
all problems in a day.
OU has a resource. So there's a lady that I can call
Oh,
if
that's
my
nice.
kid's upset.
Oh, I love that.
We have that at UT.
No, I don't remember us having it either.
I don't know. There's so many different things that are going to come up and it will be stressful off and on, and just take a beat. Everybody deserves grace. If they call you super drunk, just, record it.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, we have an Uber allowance for our kids so that they always know that that's available to them. And they should
Yeah.
never ever feel like they need to drink and drive or ride with somebody who's been drinking and driving. So again, have
Yeah.
those conversations with your kids. Make sure they're not going into it, blind.
And for my daughter, I was worried about the date rape drugs and stuff. And,
Yeah.
you don't take a drink from somebody you don't know. You don't. And look, I was in a sorority and I was around the fraternities all the time. And you knew not to drink the trash can punch because they might have peed in it. So, you might want to tell your kiddo, by the way, you don't know if you don't know what they put in it,
Yeah.
don't drink it.
Don't drink it. That's right. I hope
On that note,
everybody
yeah,
learned
right.
something on this call today. So, we're glad to be back and recording. So look for another episode in the near future.